guys, welcome back to Team 6K. This is Undead, and today we're going to be talking about Abyss actors. Before I move forward, I just want to say shout out to Mohammed. He's the one who requested that we talk about Abyss actors in this video. Be sure to check out our last video, the advanced guide to rockets. It's a very fun deck. Funnily enough, this deck also happens to be playing a small rocket package, and we'll explain why later on. But first of all, we need to understand the Abyss actors and how they work. So basically, this is a pendulum archetype based on Dark Fiends. The idea is that these are all like actors for like a stage play or something like that, and they've got all of these spells that are all basically like their scripts, right? Of course, for our deck, the only good script that we have is Abyss script Rise of the Abyss King. This is basically what makes the deck so good. It lets you target face-up cards on the field up to the number of attack position Abyss actor monsters with different names you control, destroy them. If you control a level 7 or higher Abyss actor monster, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this card's activation. And if this set card in its owner's control is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, and you have a face-up Abyss actor pendulum monster in your extra deck, you can add up to 2 Abyss actor cards and or Abyss script spell cards with different names from your deck to your hand. So that effect is generally speaking not going to go off, because you kind of have to rely on your opponent to destroy it, and we're generally going to use it as soon as we get access to it. And how we get access to it is with the said level 7 or higher Abyss actor. This is kind of the main boss monster of the deck here. This is Abyss actor Superstar. He is a level 7 scale 3 pendulum, and when he's normal or special summon, your opponent's spell trap cards and effects cannot be activated. What's so great about that is if your opponent has like a floodgate trap hole or some kind of response to his summon, they can't use it. So this guy's summon, if you use it as a pendulum summon, will also protect all of the other monsters that you're pendulum summoning alongside it. And then its other beneficial effect is once per turn, you can set an Abyss script spell card directly from your deck, but it is sent to the graveyard during the end phase. So of course, that's going to be the Rise of the Abyss King to destroy our opponent's face-up cards. Of course, any good pendulum deck needs a consistent way to set up their scales, and this deck has a fantastic way of doing that. The first card that can do that is Abyss actor Mellow Madonna. It has a scale effect that lets you pay 1,000 life points to add any Abyss actor pendulum monster from deck to hand except for itself. Also, it locks you into Abyss actors for the rest of the turn. It does have beneficial monster effects as well. It gains 100 attack for every Abyss script in the grave. That will be only 1 in this particular deck. Also, if a pendulum you control is destroyed by battle, you can special summon it from your hand, so a nice little extra amount of survivability. Also, if it happens to be on the field and you activate an Abyss script, you can special summon a level 4 or lower Abyss actor pendulum from your deck, but return it to the hand during the end phase. That can be kind of nice. It's generally speaking not going to happen, because we're not really trying to summon this as a monster, we're generally just trying to put this in our scale for that beneficial search effect. Keep in mind it is a scale 0, so if you get a high scale next to it, you are going to be able to get your pendulum summon off very easily. The deck doesn't just have that as a search though, we also have another one, Abyss actor Wild Hope. It does have a scale effect that is definitely relevant. I will bring that up in a second, but the main effect here is if this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can add an Abyss actor card from your deck to your hand except Abyss actor Wild Hope. So this effect that activates when it is destroyed, of course, activates when it goes to the extra deck. So we don't actually need to summon it. We can scale it and then destroy it with our own card effect, right? And generally, in older versions of the deck, people would use cards like MST and Storm to trigger that pop effect. Just to get that beneficial search, it would be able to allow us to search for Mellow Madonna. Mellow Madonna would be able to search another scale, and then we could pendulum summon it out. Relying on having to have one of these MSTs or Storms isn't going to be very helpful, because you do have to open it. In order to be a little bit more consistent, we are playing a quick launch rocket package. This deck also doesn't actually have an inherent normal summon, so if you happen to open the Tracer, it is a pretty good normal summon as well. Because what you can do is you can use the Tracer by normal summoning it or through special summoning it with a quick launch to target your Wild Hope to destroy it, to summon one of your other rockets from deck, and then the Wild Hope will trigger to search for a Mellow Madonna, or technically one of your other Abyss actors. And then of course you'll have 2 level 4 darks on the field, and then you can make a rank 4 Xyz of your choosing. This nice little extra package allows for the Wild Hope to be a lot more consistent, and the fact that you can also make a rank 4 with this package makes this deck a lot better at going first than it used to be. It's worth noting that before the Rocket package, the Abyss actors used to be very bad at going first, because since the deck actually locks you into Abyss actors, you couldn't really go into the extra deck pretty profitably, but the Rocket engine allows you to go into the extra deck profitably, and having a beneficial turn 1 means that we can always go second, basically. Either through literally going second, or due to interrupting the opponent after going first and then going in for the OTK. But the Wild Hope does of course have a scale effect. I said it was important before. You might notice in this deck that all of the scales are pretty low except for the 1 copy of Comic Relief. I'll go into Comic Relief later on, but only having 1 high scale in the deck is not a very good idea for a Pendulum deck, generally speaking. Thankfully, Wild Hope, while it is in the Pendulum zone, can turn your Abyss actor in the other Pendulum scale into a scale 9. So what you could do is you could have this in the Pendulum scale and Mellow Madonna in the other Pendulum scale, make that other Mellow Madonna a scale 9, then you have a scale 2 and a scale 9, and all the monsters in this deck are between the levels of 2 and 9. So it's going to be very easy to Pendulum summon in this deck, especially with the Wild Hope and the Mellow Madonna being such good scales and being such good searchers. There are 2 other Abyss actors in this deck though. They are pretty good for utility. Sassy Rookie is something that I like to search turn 1 as a protective play, because the first time this card would be destroyed by battle or card effect each turn, it is not destroyed, so I could set this as a defensive wall, and then if it is destroyed by battle, or if this card in its owner's monster zone is destroyed by opponent's card effect, you can special summon a level 4 or lower Abyss actor monster from your deck except Abyss actor Sassy Rookie. So not only can it not be destroyed once, but if it does get destroyed, then it'll summon something else from the deck for extra protection. This makes it a really nice turn 1 search, just to Pendulum summon it out and keep your life points intact. This is also a very niche effect, but if it does happen to be in the scale, which it usually won't be, and it is destroyed, like let's say by your Tracer or by your MST, then you can target a level 4 or lower monster your opponent controls and destroy it. This effect is not going to come up very often, and you probably shouldn't rely on it, but it is at least good to know. And the other one is great for searching going second, because this guy has a great scale effect that you can target an Abyss actor Pendulum monster you control and 1 monster your opponent controls and switch control of them. So what you're going to do usually is, since this is a high scale, you're going to Pendulum summon, and then you're going to switch one of your monsters with their monsters, and then this guy will destroy himself. But since you've already Pendulum summoned, it's not going to matter that you've destroyed him. And a nice little play that you can do with this is you can give your opponent your Wild Hope and take their monster, and then during the battle phase you can destroy your own Wild Hope, and Wild Hope will get its search effect from being destroyed. If you are unaware of the Rocket package because you didn't watch the last video, go ahead and watch that if you haven't. Essentially, Rocket Tracer has the effect that you can quick effect, target any face-up card you control and destroy it, and if you do special summon a Rocket from deck, except for the rest of the turn, you cannot special summon from the extra deck except dark monsters. This doesn't interact with our Pendulum summon negatively because this is a dark deck, but as I mentioned before, it makes it very easy to go into a rank 4. Technically speaking, we can also go into a Dark End Dragon for nice removal, and in certain cases we could actually use the Rocket package to bait out our opponent's interruptions, using like a Booster Dragon for example. Of course, I'm going to show off this in action during the replays, but if you want an even further understanding of how the Rocket engine works, be sure to check out the last video. We do of course have the 1 Nightmare Unicorn. It is nice to be able to remove something without destroying it sometimes, and of course we also have the 1 Link Disciple in case our opponent gives us an Ibli. Evil Swarm Nightmare is the main rank 4 we're going to be going into turn 1, because if your opponent special summons a monster, you can detach a material, change that monster to face out defense. Most decks will be harmed by this, so this is why we usually go into it turn 1. But if we know for a fact that our opponent is going to be special summoning level 5 or higher monsters, generally we might like to go into Steel Swarm Roach instead, because it basically does a similar thing, except instead of changing their monster to face down defense, it negates their summon entirely, meaning they won't even get to have their effects and even have to remove their monsters next turn. Malevolent Sinner is of course one of the best rank 4s in Duel Links. You detach a material to banish one of your opponent's monsters until the next standby phase. This is of course going to be the best going second Xyz you can do. If your opponent happens to have a Kiteroid or something in graveyard, then you can of course make an Abyss Dweller before using any of your Abyss Actor effects, because your Abyss Actor effects are going going to lock you into the archetype, but you can go into this to prevent your opponent from activating something like a Kiteroid in the graveyard during the battle phase, which is pretty nice. Of course, it's going to be difficult for me to show you how the deck works if I'm just showing you the deck itself, so let's just get into the combo tutorial, shall we? Okay, so this is a pretty good hand. We do happen to have a Wild Hope and access to the Rocket Engine. If we didn't have access to the Rocket Engine, the MST might have been good enough. We also do have the Mellow Madonna, which is definitely the best card in the deck, but we're going to activate this. We're gonna, we're moving second here, so we're gonna try our best to kill them. So we're gonna use the quick launch, summon a Rocket Tracer from the deck. If you happen to open the Rocket Tracer, you could normal summon it. You could even play 3 Tracers if you wanted. It can brick though, but you can use Rocket Tracer to destroy Wild Hope, and that will give us a monster on the field. The Wild Hope will then trigger. Generally speaking, the Wild Hope is going to be searching for a Mellow Madonna, but because we already have it, we might as well just search for something else. And because we're going second, Superstar is one of the cards that we like to search going second. So we're just going to grab that real quick. And of course, the next play to do in Abyss Actors would be Mellow Madonna. However, after using Mellow Madonna, we are locked into only special summoning Abyss Actors. So we just want to use our 2 non-Abyss Actor monsters real quick for an Xyz summon here, just to get it out of the way, because we won't be able to do it later on in the combo. So I'm just going to summon that there. Might as well just get rid of that face down monster real quick. Of course, the face downs are the priority, because our own inherent destruction only, generally speaking, gets rid of face ups. So we're going to activate the Mellow Madonna, of course, our scale 0 that happens to be able to search for the entire deck, and we're going to search for a high scale. Now, of course, because it is a low scale, we need a high scale, so you'd think to grab Comic Relief, but you could also grab a Wild Hope if you wanted. Comic Relief is, however, very good going second. If the opponent happened to have another monster, we could use the Comic Relief to steal it from them. But anyway, Superstar is very important here. We're going to Pendulum Summon. 1, 2. And because Superstar was a part of the Pendulum Summon, if they happen to have something like Floodgate, the Superstar would prevent them from doing it, because they cannot respond to his summon. Of course, Superstar is going to activate his effect as well to get a Rise of the Abyss King. Rise of the Abyss King, I can activate it and destroy up to 2 face-up cards the opponent controls. Lucky me, they control 2 face-up cards. And, of course, if they had another monster, what I could do is use my Comic Relief to give them my Wild Hope, and then take their monster, destroy my own Wild Hope, and that will give me an additional search. Another effect that Wild Hope has that I didn't mention before is that once per turn, you can temporarily have him gain a 100 attack for every Abyss Actor I control. So that would be 1, 2, and it doesn't count the scales, it only counts the monsters, so that would go to 1800. The other broken thing about Mellow Madonna is that by paying 1000 life points in a searchable way, we get to activate Sealed Tombs. This skill can be used if your life points are lower than your opponent's by 1000 or more. And until the end of your opponent's next turn, neither player can banish cards from the graveyard or special summon monsters from the graveyard. This skill can only be used once per duel. So if we happen to be going first, then we are essentially turning off completely our opponent's graveyard strategies. Of course, that would be the same case going second if we can't kill them, but if we are going second and we're using the skill, it's just essentially preventing them from using their graveyard to interrupt us, or that kind of thing. But yeah. See from the last combo, this deck really likes going second, but of course it isn't as bad at going first these days. So of course we don't have the Rocket Engine here. Of course we do have the Silver Rocket Dragon, but that isn't the engine itself. But we do have a way to destroy a Wild Hope and a Wild Hope, and that is pretty much the fullest of combos that we can have. So we're going to use the Wild Hope to search for our Mellow Madonna, of course our main searcher here. Gonna activate the Mellow Madonna, search for a scale or something else. Since we already have another copy of Wild Hope which can be a scale, I'm going to search for the great turn 1 card, Sassy Rookie. course, the Wild Hope is going to turn the Mellow Madonna into a scale 9. That'll allow us to Pendulum Summon now. I'm going to summon the Wild Hope and the Sassy Rookie, both in defense position, obviously, because we are trying to protect our life points here. This is a pretty good turn 1, to be honest with you, because if our opponent destroys this, then we get a search, and if they destroy this, then they have to destroy it again, and then when they do destroy it, I'm probably going to summon another monster from the deck, and they will have to destroy that. So in total, they're going to have to destroy your monsters 1, 2, 3, and then 4 times with the monster that you summon from the deck, and that can be pretty tough. But let's see how well we survive against our AI opponent. So our opponent attacks into our Wild Hope. Our Wild Hope will then allow us to search. Of course, we're going to be able to search for our going second card. Superstar is great. And of course, they weren't able to destroy this either. But hey, look, we got the Tracer now. Would have been great last turn, but hey, that's all good. But we can't normal summon. Before we go into any Pendulum summons, might as well normal summon, go into an Xyz. You need to be aware of is that, you know, you can go into generic Xyz on your follow-up turn if you happen to go first, without any restrictions before you activate your effects, right? So I'm going to activate an effect, grab a Comic Relief, great going second card. As you saw in the first, I'm going to turn a Mellow Madonna into a scale 9, going to Pendulum Summon again, and off to the races, really. Not going to Pendulum Summon that one though. We don't need to destroy them, but if we did need to destroy them, we could use our Superstar here to get us a Rise of the Abyss King. Of course, you wouldn't use this unless you needed to, because after you set it with a Superstar, if you don't use it, then it will just go to the graveyard on the end phase anyway. But yeah, use Sealed Tombs and easily just go for game. We do only have 7 rocket related cards in our main deck, and we only have 7 of them because we aren't really trying to brick on them. But when you do have a 7 card package, every now and then, not often, but every now and then, you're going to have too many rocket cards in your hand. That is okay, it's not the end of the world, because there is at least something you can do. So let's just summon Tracer. Let's say it was to quick launch, you could use 1 quick launch to summon a Tracer and then go ahead and do this play. But you know, summon the Tracer, activate quick launch, Tracer, target, quick launch, and then we're going to have 3 rockets on the field. And you might be reminiscing from our last video where we basically did the same combo, but you know, this combo is available in this deck if you happen to brick like this. So you're essentially turning your awkward hand into at least something good. So you know, basically we got 3 monsters on the field using our quick launch and our rocket Tracer, and we turned 2 of them into a Booster Dragon. Booster Dragon requires 2 rockets, and the monsters that you're going to use to summon Booster Dragon are going to depend on whether or not you're going first or second. Now if you're going first, you're going to use the Tracer and the Magna Rocket Dragon, because you want to keep this one on the field for its effect. If it is targeted by a Link Monsters effect, you can destroy this card as a quick effect to look at your opponent's extra deck and banish a card from their extra deck of your choice. That's a great turn 1 play. It can cripple them very heavily if they don't have access to the extra deck card that they need most. But if you're going second, of course, you will use Magna Rocket Dragon, keep that one on the field, and instead use Silver Rocket as material for the Booster Dragon, because when Magna Rocket is targeted on the field by a Link monster, it will non-target send a monster your opponent controls to the graveyard by destroying itself. But because we are going first here, we're going to use our Booster Dragon, which has the effect to target any monster in the field, gain 500 attack permanently, target our own Silver Rocket. Silver Rocket will then chain to destroy itself, and we will then get to look at our opponent's extra deck and take out the card that is most vital to them. And in this particular case, it's Decode Talk, but it's definitely going to depend on the deck you're facing. Another benefit of this is whatever monster you destroy, Silver Rocket or Magna Rocket, on the end phase they are going to summon the last copy of Rocket Tracer from your deck. Because on the end phase, if it is destroyed and it is in the graveyard, it will summon a rocket from deck. And the only rocket we have in deck is the 1 second copy of Tracer. And this isn't the best thing in the world, but it is at least something. It is a nice little survivability play. Another nice little thing about Booster Dragon is if it dies, then you will be able to revive any dragon from your grave. So, you know, a nice little bit of extra survivability. And all this value is from a bricky hand. So if this is what we're doing when we're bricking, then that must mean our deck is doing something right. I don't really like the rocket version of the deck. There's also another version of the deck that you could play that revolves around Amano Awato and the skill Smile World. So Amano Awato is a spirit monster that cannot be special summoned, and monsters cannot activate their effects except spirit monsters. And once per turn, during the end phase, if this card was normal summoned or flipped face up this turn, return this card to the hand. So essentially you would normal summon this, and while it's on the field, monsters cannot activate their effects except for Amano Awato himself. Of course, this deck doesn't really need to activate its monster effects to go for game. So, if we can find a way to keep Amano Awato on the field without him returning to the hand, then we would have a monster lockdown on effects. And that's where the Smile World skill comes in. Smile World allows you to add a Smile World to your hand from outside of your deck. And if you activate this skill, here's the important part, you can only activate or use the effect of Smile spell trap cards until the end of your opponent's turn. That means that if you use this skill the same turn that you summon Amano Awato, then Amano Awato's own effect to add himself back to the hand on the end phase will not be able to activate. Smile World is also, you know, inconsequential, but, you know, you could just activate it to make all of your monsters essentially have the skill tie that binds. But of course, this deck is a little bit less consistent. You do have to hope that you open the Amano Awato, which of course you do play 3 copies if you do play this version, but I am not willing to take those odds in just the hopes that I go first. There's also the other thing that's worth noting, that the opponent doesn't necessarily have to use monster effects either to win. There are a decent amount of decks in the game that can win the game without even activating monster effects. But yeah man, I do believe this is the best version of the deck if you wanted to play it, if you wanted to get King of Games or something like that. There are some other cards you could play if you wanted. I'm not playing the Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon. You could 100% do that to get over something in battle, or just to go for game easier, I guess. Hot Red Dragon Archfiend to destroy the field. Basically, that's all the stuff I'm not playing. I feel like this deck is pretty tight, you know. I'm playing everything that I need to play. I don't ever feel like there's something missing from this, you know what I mean? But you know, at the end of the day, I'm not here to tell you how to build your deck. I'm here just to teach you how to play it. But you know, there's no substitute for experience, so let's just go into the actual duel replays so you can understand how it works in a real duel. Okay, so we're going first against what looks to be Blackwings. We happen to have basically the best combo in the deck, Rocket Tracer as well as the Wild Hope. The Rocket Tracer is going to destroy the Wild Hope to summon a monster from deck. Wild Hope is going to search for the Mellow Madonna, which is going to search for something else. But before I use the Mellow Madonna, I'm going to turn these two into an Evil Swarm Nightmare. And this guy just scoops, alright? I just wanted to show you guys this replay because this is actually going to be something that happens quite a lot. Most people cannot play through an Evil Swarm Nightmare, and so they're just going to scoop it up immediately. So just let you know, that's going to happen quite a lot. Alright, opponent's going first here. They're just setting a couple back row. I'm going to be as honest as I can be with you guys. This guy does not have the best built deck ever. However, he does have incredibly annoying traps. In fact, I even fall for a Drowning Mirror Force in this duel. But in my defense, if that was a Drowning Mirror Force, I was going to lose to Drowning Mirror Force. But if it was a compulsory evacuation device, which is better and more popular, then I would have lost the game anyway. So I had to take the gamble. But yeah, I'm going to destroy the Wild Hope. Wild Hope is going to search Mellow Madonna. I'm going to activate MST to get rid of one of their other back row. I'm going to activate Mellow Madonna, search again for my Superstar, set a scale, turn my Mellow Madonna into a scale 9, seal tombs them, and Pendulum Summon for 3. Unfortunate for me, he did have the Drowning Mirror Force right here. That's how it goes, but I do have the Mellow Madonna. If I can survive, then I can use another Mellow Madonna search, which is exactly what I do. I'm going to Pendulum Summon, and I'll also normal summon the Silver Rocket Dragon. He's going to floodgate it, and he could have floodgated my Superstar if not for the Superstar's effect to prevent him from floodgating it basically. So I'm going to be able to go in for some more damage. If this guy dies, I'm going to be able to summon another rocket on the end phase. It turns out this whole time he was playing Code Talkers. You really shouldn't be playing this much background Code Talkers, by the way, guys. But anyway, he's going to go, he's going to make a field. He's got the degrade Buster, which can be a quick effect if I control a monster bigger than him. So I'm going to try my best not to do that. The Silver Rocket is going to summon a Tracer. On the end phase, after summoning the Tracer, I'm going to destroy the Wild Hope and get even more value. Summon something from deck, now I can make a rank 4. The Wild Hope will search for another scale. So, my first move here, make a rank 4, right? Get rid of that degrade Buster immediately. And then, now I can set my scale, Pendulum Summon. I can't activate Mekknights because I do only have 1,000 life points left. And then I can use this Comic Relief to take my opponent's Link monster. The reason I do that instead of just attacking is because when this Link Summon card leaves the field, it will revive something. I didn't notice at the time that he didn't have anything engraved to revive. Can it revive a banished monster? No, it can't. But, you know, I didn't want to have a look. I just wanted to go for game. Of course, I'm going to attack into my own monster. And the Wild Hope will get me a search, even though I already pretty much have game. And then, you know, I'll just attack again. Alright, so I'm going first here. I have the Mekknights, which is great. I do have the Brick Magna Rocket, but that's alright. I have the Sealed Tombs to prevent him from summoning anything. I am going first. This is obviously not the best hand in the world, but I do have a Mekknights, you know, great search, and I'm going to be able to get the Wild Hope. Technically speaking, I could search for the Sassy, but the Sassy, if he destroys it while it's face down, doesn't get its protection effect, you know what I mean? So I might as well get the Wild Hope to get a search. So that was my thought process at the time. So I just hope that I can survive. I'm going to hope that I can get a search off. He happens to be playing the best deck in the game, bar none, Mekknights, which is great for me. He's going to be able to get a search with Blue Sky, get his Link off, get another search, add back his Purple Nightfall with the Legacy Key, and prevent me from using traps using that continuous. Thankfully for me, I don't care about that. I don't have traps in this deck. But Wild Hope is going to be able to get me a search. He's going to attack me, but he isn't going to have lethal. But if I had summoned more monsters, there is a chance he could have assembled lethal. So, you know, that's at least good to know. But yeah, I'm going to set my scale. I'm very much afraid of him flipping up back row, so I'm going to try my best to get a good Pendulum Summon off with Superstar, because if I Pendulum Summon Superstar, he can't respond to the summon, right? And then I'm going to activate the Abyss script because he will not be able to respond to that either. And if I can get that off, then it's pretty much GG from there. Thankfully for me, I Pendulum Summon 4 monsters. He can't respond because of Superstar. Then I activate Rise of Abyss King and he can't respond because of Superstar. And I'm just going to be able to attack the game. It's that easy. Alright, so I'm going second against DDD here. Very consistent deck. He's just going to go off here, use his skill, get his scales. Funnily enough, this is a Dark Fiend deck versus a Dark Fiend deck. This guy's got some back row. I'm somewhat scared of it, so here I'm going to have to be very careful about the way I do things. So if he happens to have a Mystical Space Typhoon, I will activate my Wild Hope. If he uses MST, then I get my search anyway, and I don't need to worry about it, and he's gotten rid of an MST. So that's why I activate that one first. Then I'm going to use my Quick Launch, get that out, because if he decides to use a back row on my rocket launcher, I can always just use the rocket launcher to destroy itself, and I'm still at least somewhat good, right? But yeah, I'm going to use the Rocket Tracer to destroy my Wild Hope, get another level 4. Wild Hope is going to get a search off. I'm going to search for the Comic Relief because, you know, there's a chance that I might have to steal his Doom King Armageddon depending on how he interrupts me. But yeah, going to go into a rank 4. A Synchro 8, my bad. He's going to Forbidden Lance. I don't think he really knows what Forbidden Lance is. I think he thinks this is like protection from all cards, but I'm going to remove him with a monster effect, and he's going to protect himself from his back row. I don't care. I'm going to use my remaining MST to get rid of his last card, which it was an MST, so I'm glad I was able to bait it everything out up until that point. So the Dark End Dragon's going to remove his monster. I'm going to use the Mellow Madonna, and it's going to be very easy to OTK from here on. I'm going to get my Scale, Pendulum Summon for 2, use the Superstar to get myself the Rise of the Abyss King, destroy 2 of his cards, and you know, any chance he could have had to go for have a follow-up is completely done. Alright, I'm going second here against one of the other best decks in the game, the Infernoids. These guys are very scary to go against. But yeah, I happen to know that he does have the Void Seer because he did search for it. So I know that one of these back row I don't necessarily have to be scared of. I can just play around the Void Feast, right? So I have the Rocket Tracer and the Quick Launch. I do have other Abyss Actor cards in my hand, so it's not necessarily a brick, but because I do happen to have these cards, I can bait him out, right? So he's going to go ahead and activate this. I'm going to chain Quick Launch right away so he can't interrupt me, and then I'm going to chain Rocket Tracer targeting the Quick Launch so I can get my 3 monsters on the field before he can get out his interruptions. He gets out his 3, his Decatron is going to send a Monster Negate, so he gets to be a Monster Negate now basically. I'm going to go into Booster Dragon. My goal here is to bait out that Monster Negate by threatening him with Magna Rocket Dragon's removal, non-target removal effect. But of course, if he does use that, then he will also be tributing one of his other monsters, which is great for me because I would actually like him to do that. It's going to make it a lot easier for me to break his board with my Abyss Actors. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. He's going to negate it. Great for him. Great for me too. But yeah, I'm going to activate the Mellow Madonna. I'm sure that when he saw me activate Mellow Madonna, he was like, oh my god, bro. Oh my god, dude, you are playing Abyss Actors this whole time? Then what's with the whole rocket charade? Anyway, so I'm going to Pendulum Summon the Superstar. He can't respond to it, of course. Going to use the Superstar. Going to get the Rise of the Abyss King. And use the Abyss King right away. He can't respond to it because I do control the Superstar, and then I'll just go and attack for game because I know that this is that useless spell that they play one of. But yeah, man, that's Abyss Actors. If you have any questions about how the deck runs, or you know, things that you might do differently, let me know in the comments and we can have a conversation about it. If you like the video, subscribe if you're new, share with a friend, and we'll see you next time.